Hi, hello, everyone, welcome back to my channel. So, we discussed in previous classes Western schools of philosophy. In that, we discussed idealism. So, today we need to discuss a new topic, realism. So, everyone, once again, welcome to my channel. First, I gave a brief introduction about realism. Aristotle. You are all heard about the name Aristotle. Aristotle is a Greek philosopher and he is known as the father of realism. Realism regards the world of physical reality and truly fundamental thing is experience. That means realism doesn't believe ideas. It only believes in experience and physical reality. This is very important point. Realism is opposite to idealism. The physical world is objective and factual. That means physical world is reality or material world is real and factual. That is the main thing about realism. And also the realism philosophy believes common sense and also the philosophy of science. According to realism, reality is outside the mind and world around is an objective reality. The best method to acquire knowledge is the experimental or the scientific method. That means realism gives more importance in experience or experimental or scientific reality. Let us move towards next slide. Basic concept of realism. Realism is a philosophy away from the world of ideas and is concerned with the study of the world we live in. Here it is clear that realism is a philosophy away from the world of ideas. It does not believe in ideas. I already told in previous slide, the realism is opposite to idealism. Here it is clear that realism believes that all knowledge is derived from experience. Realism believes that the real world is the world of nature. Before moving towards next slides, I discussed about two philosophers. First one is Aristotle and second philosopher is John Locke. You need to understand about these two philosophers. So, Aristotle. Aristotle was known as father of realism. He was a Greek philosopher. He believes only in systematic scientific examination. That is, he believes only scientific reality. And also, he was invented the concept of metaphysics. That is, he believes only in material world. Next philosopher is John Locke. John Locke was an English philosopher and physician. He is also known as father of liberalism. he give more contributions about realism, and we discussed later coming slides about John Locke. He contribute modern realism. So we discussed in forms of realism about modern realism and John Locke. Next one is forms of realism. There are mainly four types are there. They are Aristotelian realism, religious realism, modern realism, and humanistic realism. Let us discuss detail in coming slides. So, first move towards Aristotelian realism. So, forms of realism. First one, Aristotelian realism. From the name Aristotelian realism, we could understood that Aristotle was the main proponent of this realism. So, according to Aristotle, ideas or forms such as idea of God or idea of a tree can exist without matter, but no matter can exist without form. Each piece of matter has universal and particular properties. This is Aristotelian realism. Next one, religious realism. Religious realism mainly contribute Thomas Aquinas. According to him, the idea of Christian revelation and maintained that we are the children of God and our best thinking should agree with Christian tenets. And Aquinas believed that God created matter out of nothing and God gives meaning and purpose to the universe. So here religious realism mainly believes in God. God was the creator of universe. Next, I will explain about modern realism and humanistic realism. Modern realism developed an adequate method of inductive thinking, and Francis Bacon and John Locke were involved in developing systematic methods of thinking and ways to increase human understanding. So, the main proponents of modern realism were Francis Bacon and John Locke. Note that names. I already told you the major method of modern realism was inductive thinking, and also they are believe induction is the logic of arriving at generalizations on the basis of systematic observations of particulars. So they believes in systematic observations and generalization. Final one is humanistic realism. From that name, we could realize that humanistic realism mainly for human welfare. That means it emphasizes the general human welfare through education, and It believes that human beings are the fundamental realities in the material world. So, realities of the material objects must be examined in terms of human realities. Finally, we need to discuss about major contributors of realism. First name is Aristotle. I already discussed about Aristotle. He is the major contributor of realism and also known as father of realism. So don't forget Aristotle's name. Then John Locke, Erasmus, Rabelais, Comenius, Bertrand Russell, Francis Bacon, John Milton. These are the main proponents of realism. So now we conclude these are all. Again I will come next class about realism. So next class we discuss about more about realism and education. Bye bye.